Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome into the Collective Genius Podcast, the podcast for real estate investors that are growing and scaling businesses. This is the podcast for those real estate entrepreneurs, and this is a podcast that we tell the stories of geniuses, collective genius members, their stories of real estate entrepreneurship, having this as a business and not just a side hustle or a hobby. These are actual people growing businesses. And recently I announced on the podcast at our June meeting that we had merged with Legacy Family and now CG Legacy. Part of that for me, I'm so excited as I've got now so many new friends that I hadn't met before that give us a lot of new information, a lot of new strategies that we can put into the Collective Genius family. And I've got one of those members now, CG Legacy member. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Rivers. Welcome in, Dan. How are you, man?
Thanks, man. Appreciate the invite and everything. I'm excited for the show, and I'm doing great. You?
Yes, fantastic. As you can tell from the accent here from Dan, he comes to us via Charleston, South Carolina, but from the accent, you can probably hear a little bit of that Boston accent that remains there. But you do now live in Charleston, South Carolina. You are a member of CG Legacy. You've been a member of that group for a while now, and I know when Tim when we had this merger, Tim was like, hey, I've got some people that you need to get on the show immediately. Dan's got something really, really cool. You have a company that you're a real estate investor, but you have a company that's called Synergy Stays. Why don't you tell everybody, let's start out with that, what you're doing right now, and then we'll get into the history of Mr. Dan Rivers.
Yeah, no, thanks. I've been with Tim's group. Tim's a good friend of mine, awesome dude for almost 4 years now. So I'm excited that we merged with Collective Genius and meeting so many other great people. So it's been awesome so far. I can't wait for Dallas. And Synergy Stays. Yeah. So right now what I'm focused on is Synergy Stays. We're a short-term rental revenue management company, and we are a comprehensive revenue management company. In short, basically what that means is there's a lot of companies out there that do pricing for short-term rentals. And that's all well and great, but we go 5 layers deeper. We build partnerships with our clients. We want to help them from making sure the listing's optimized and being seen to maybe some tips and tricks on the operational side that actually flows into how their revenue is driven, all through pricing and pretty much every step of the way. And anybody who's more of a 5+ properties, those investors that are growing, co-host property managers. We also do a monthly executive roundtable where we just talk about scaling your specific business as well within the short-term rental world, whether you're an investor or a property manager co-host. So yeah, we're that, we like to say that we are redefining revenue management and going those extra 5 layers.
So the listener that listens to this show, Dan, is usually someone that is in multiple asset classes. And there was a time there, as well as I do, that everyone was jumping into Airbnb. It was a sexy play. Everyone was doing it. And so everyone jumped in, and they realized after being in it for a while, most of them realized it's a different real estate play. It's a hospitality play more so than it is a rental play. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I like to actually call it several different businesses, actually. So you have, when you're in a short-term rental, it is a business. Let's not be blind to that. Pretty much every asset class is its own business. And if you treat it like that, that's when I've been the most successful. And I've failed a lot when I didn't treat it like that. So when it comes to short-term rentals, to me, it's several businesses. You have that property management side, keeping your property up, making sure it presents well. You have your experience side, making sure you're taking care of the guests and you're giving them an amazing experience when they stay at your place. Then you have the revenue management side of things, which is understanding all of the data and making informed decisions on how to price and prepare your property and merchandise it to make sure it has the most visibility and it's being seen. And then you also, especially on the middle tier to higher end properties, you have the marketing side of the business. So that's how I like to look at it. And part of the whole reason why we created Synergy Stays, we were a full service short-term rental management company. And then we realized we were really great at driving revenue and okay at the other things. And we said, you know what? This business is changing. We need to be great at one thing and then help people be great in one area. And that's why we went all in on the revenue management side.
Like most service providers in our community are former or current. Most of them are current real estate investors that were solving for X and created Y, right? It created a Y for themselves, for their customers, and a better solution. You obviously had experience in doing this. Let's go back and we'll get back to the short-term side. You had experience in real estate. Where did that start? This is a journey podcast, and that started, a long time ago. And it actually happened not too far from me here in Tampa.
Yeah. A long time ago. Okay. Yes, I'm older. I get it, Liana. That's mid 40s with a 1-year-old and a 4.5-year-old, by the way. So that's the biggest challenge and my biggest love in life. But the journey did start. It started in Tampa in 2005. So I've been in real estate over 2 decades, which is kind of cool to say. 2005, I was doing a bank loan for a guy that actually happened to be from Boston, just like myself. And I was doing a loan for him. I was working at a bank. And when I was done doing that, he asked me, he goes, would you like to manage properties, do property management? And I thought about it. I was thinking about going into the investment sector when it comes to like banking and get my Series 6, Series 7's license. And I was like, you know what? Real estate intrigues me. I don't know much about it, but let's do it. Well, fast forward, first day I started on the job, I had about somewhere around 600 units, 15, 16 properties handed to me and said, hey, go ahead and manage these. And I'm talking like high rises over there on Clearwater Beach. I forget that little island on the way to Clearwater Beach over in that area. I had a couple properties in there, to HOAs, to, again, 600 units. So it was trial by fire. I had to learn really quick on how to manage properties properly, 25 years old. And honestly, it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me because I was able to understand how to read, legal documents. I could tell you bylaws, every section of the bylaws and what each section meant. I could tell you proper insurance policies that properties should have. I could do a budget to, reviewing financials to, managing vendors. So it really gave me a great foundation in real estate in general. So no matter what I did in my future years, you could fast forward from then. I did that about 13 years. Moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 2018. I got my real estate license, and that's when I started that part of the journey. But with all that knowledge I learned from the property management side, it made me so much more equipped to hit the ground running, even in these other new ventures starting in 2018 when I moved down here to Charleston.
Dan, did you know while you were doing that property management in 13 years, man, that's like dog years. That's like 30, 40, 50 years, on your life when you're doing property management, especially at that level. Did you know at the time, at that age, that young of an age, that would set you up for where you are today?
Absolutely not. All I knew is that when I was younger, I grew up in a blue collar family. I've had my challenges when I was younger, certain things happening. Real quick, I've had a couple open heart surgeries. I like to be open about that. And those things got me to think different ways. I kind of always willing to take a chance on life because, it could have ended when I was 16 years old and it didn't. I'm very fortunate for that. So the one thing I always wanted to do, grow up in a middle-class family, coming up some of those hardships there, everybody has their own hardships. Those were mine, I wanted to be VP of a company by the age of 30. I don't know what that meant, but I wanted to make $100,000 a year and be vice president. Well, that was the one thing that really, I was able to, I wasn't vice president, but it was a title just below that. And I was making over $100,000 a year. And I was at this high level in my company, ended up going to a smaller company, helped double that in size from 2,000 units to over 5,000 units. So it felt amazing. But I never knew really where that journey was going to take me. I always had that corporate mindset. I had to move up in business. I had that type of mindset. I didn't have the entrepreneurial mindset I have today in building a business and believing in myself to that degree until I was almost 40 years old in my late 30s when I moved to Charleston, South Carolina. So no, I didn't know where it was bringing me. My dad taught me to work hard, keep my head down, learn as much as I can, and be successful, whatever that means.
Our stories are very similar that way. I mean, I spent 11 years in corporate before I realized that, I could see myself actually running a business, and didn't know where it was going to take me. I just knew that I too wanted to continue to grow the corporate ladder and good things would come of that. So you go to Charleston, instead of property management, you get your license and you start listing and flipping houses, correct?
Yeah, so I started out by real estate sales for about 4 or 5 months, and then I got a call from a lead. I met this lady at a property, a piece of land. I helped her buy it. We negotiated, we met, we hit it off. She's awesome. That lady today, her name's Ruby, and she flips about 50 homes a year here in Charleston, and she's a good friend of mine. And she got me understanding I didn't even really know investing in real estate was, and she got me to open my eyes there. So then I joined an investor-focused brokerage, and I did what I tell everybody to do. You put yourself in the rooms with the people that you want to be like. I went to this coffee meetup for investors downtown Charleston, and I met the Kelly Garrett. I met this guy Danny. I met this Russ and Dusty and like all these amazing real estate investors here in Charleston, and some of them are at early parts of their journey, some of them in the middle of their journey. All those people have done big things to this day. And I put myself in that breakfast room, and then that's when I realized, oh, wait a second, I could run my own business. Oh, wait a second, I can bet on myself and believe myself. I could do more than $150,000 a year. I mean, to me, that was a lot of money. And quite frankly, it was Kelly. I hired Kelly as one of my coaches. She was part of a coaching program, and she got me to believe in myself. And in 2021, I made the most money I ever did. I had a $500,000 goal, and I made $775,000 that year as a business. And to me, might a lot of money to some, not that much to others, but to me, it was the world. It was the first time I ever truly, really believed that I can do it. Like I can do it. I put my head down, I put my mind to it, and like I could be a business owner. I could do, I could run my own business. And it was just powerful. It really made me. It still took a couple more years to really build up my self-worth and self-confidence, but at that point, I definitely was the start of that journey, and it was really exciting.
Loved hearing that. Obviously, as someone that's been with the Collective Genius for as long as I have, I know the power of being in the right rooms. And obviously, you found the right room. It's like you found this incubator for Charleston real estate investment that had the best of the best in that. You got very lucky finding that room. Kelly Garrett, obviously, a CG Legacy member and has been on the pod with me. Just a great human being, in addition to being really good at what she does. I couldn't think of a better coach. You and I talked about that the last time we talked. I couldn't think of a better coach to have than someone like her to push you. All right. So when does property management enter this? You're doing retail sales, and you get into investing. When you start holding properties and potentially managing them for other people.
Yeah. So 2019, I bought my first rental property with my partner. My brother-in-law, we bought a duplex here for, I think, $100,000. That's crazy. This is back before everything was truly taken off, just before COVID hit. And so we started building up our rental portfolio here. I started flipping a few houses here and there. I started lending money. I was doing everything.
Sounds like
wholesaling a little bit, everything. That's how I've gotten to I think we've done over like 350 deals, but they're all different types of deals over the last 8 years. And so I was doing a lot of everything. I mean, at one point I owned a part owner of a roofing company. Like I was honestly doing too many things, like a lot of entrepreneurs. You get the shiny object and it's cool. I'll go for it, but some things I shouldn't be going for. I should take a step back and be like, hey, let's hyper focus on one area. And that's kind of what happened. Was a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, my partner Mike came up to me and we were like, hey, let's do a short-term rental management company. He's the expert, on the short-term rental side, really knows his stuff. And, I know the business and real estate side. So we partnered up together. But to be quite frank with you, that first year, I wasn't the best business partner, and I was still trying to do 1,000 different things. And we were doing okay. We grew to like 28 units and we were doing pretty well, but like I wasn't doing my part as a partner. So a couple years ago is when I went to her. I said, you know what? This isn't fair. We decided, hey, short-term rental, full property management wasn't the way to go. Let's focus just on revenue management. And at that same time, I said, you know what? I'm cutting out all these other things. I'm going to start cutting out flipping, private money lending, all these things. It's going to take me a little bit to wind down. I'm still going to hold my rental portfolio. I'm still going to have my real estate team because that kind of runs itself. But like, I'm done with all these shiny objects. Let's go all in on one thing because I was tired of being good at a bunch of things and I want to be great at one thing. And I truly believe in my partner. He knows his stuff and he is great at what he does. So that's kind of how morphed, and about a little over 2 years ago, we went all in on the revenue management side. Actually, Rafa's he's one of our first clients. He gave us a shot, and he'll tell you, he's like, at the beginning it was a little shaky, and now he sees what we can do, and it's exciting to be part of something that we just keep on getting better and better, and we could be great in one lane versus trying to do too many things. So that's how it kind of morphed. And now I do, like I said, a little bit of real estate sales, but I am hyper focused on Synergy Stays to grow this to be great.
All in. I love it. It's great advice for those that are listening to this. Our members always have great advice for those on the other side listening, especially depending upon where you are in your journey. You're right. When people become that entrepreneur and they see all this, especially coming to communities like ours, they see all these shiny objects. I love when I hear a member say, it took me 8 years. I heard something 8 years ago and I'm just now implementing because I wasn't ready. Like that's one of my favorite conversations to have with members, because I'm like, you get it. You understand, do what you need to do to be the best, laser focused on growing what's important right now. And you can always add later. I love what you've done here. This is something that's needed, Dan. You obviously know it's needed because you started the company. You have clients that you've helped. I love the term revenue optimization. That's something that for everything that we do, you hear a lot of people talk about deals and gross. You don't hear a lot of people talk about net. We hear all the great stories about Airbnb, but I can tell you a bunch of the bad ones on the other side. So this is a service that is truly needed. Where does, if somebody's on the other side, they've got 20 or 30 Airbnbs and, they're just plugging along and they're okay, but they could be so much better. How do you go into a meeting with someone like that to help them optimize that revenue so it becomes fun again versus this, this thing that's just draining them?
Yeah. I mean, we want to make sure they're the right fit for us as much as they want to make sure that we're the right fit for them. And it's just really getting to know them and ask them questions like, what are their goals? A lot of those people, our perfect avatar, their goals are, they don't want to spend the time on doing revenue management. It's not necessarily something that excites them. It's not their enjoyment. They're good at it in a lot of cases, but they know they're leaving money on the table because it's not their hyper focus. And then it's also holding them back from scaling further and giving that better experience. So I always just have a conversation with them. Like, what is the reason why they got in the short-term rentals? Do they enjoy doing the pricing and the revenue management side? Because if they truly do and they need a hold of everything and they need all the stats and they need to know every single move, we're not the right fit, and that's perfectly fine. But the ones that we are the ones who love their short-term rental. They love giving a great experience. They want to expand their portfolio or just double down and make their properties better and just be really great in their areas. And they're looking for a partner to help them on not only the pricing side, as I mentioned early on. There's a lot of companies you can get for pricing, but they want a revenue management partner, someone that they could talk to and ask questions like, hey, if I add these amenities, what are you thinking of? Or, hey, can you help me make sure that we're optimizing my listing? Give me some feedback on my pictures. Give me some feedback on my description. Like, we help with all those things. We'll also staying ahead of the game as well. Like right now, native language and AI is changing. We all know AI is changing things in business, and especially in our world, when you come to this side of the world. Native language is becoming more and more prevalent when you go into homes.com and Zillow. Like, that's how it's being utilized to search for homes. Well, I see that coming down the line pretty quickly on Airbnb and VRBO. So how do you make sure your property's set up properly for when people are searching by native language versus just a nice hero pick and being on page one of the search rankings? So there's so many different things that comes into play: cancellation policies, pet policies, all these different things that we can give guidance on for our revenue partners to make sure that they are optimizing their property as a whole, not just necessarily pricing.
I want to follow up on that. When you say native language, can you explain?
Yeah. So if you go to homes.com right now, it used to be that you would go and you would say, you would have to click a bunch of buttons. Like, I want a house with a pool that's 2 mile, whatever, close to downtown. And you would click a bunch of buttons of what you're looking for, right? Well, now the way you could search is you can go in there and say, I want a nice neighborhood with a good school system, walkable to downtown, would love to have some playgrounds close by. And like, you're basically talking to the system, giving it an overview of what you're looking for instead of just checking boxes. And now it's going to comb through all the listings that kind of match your criteria. So I see that coming down the line with, again, this is early on. I'm not saying that's the whole thing. Like AI, no one's necessarily an expert yet. It's staying on top of things and making sure that we're ahead of the game and learning as much as we can so that people can become equipped. So I'll give you an example. So if someone's searching for an Airbnb and they could start, instead of clicking boxes, they're going to almost talk to it to what they're looking for. It's really important. A lot of people started bullet pointing their listing description. You might not want to do that because you might want to say, hey, it's a walkable family friendly, get be careful, but walkable to a lot of different neighborhoods, to the parks. It's, and you want to use certain language that you're really grabbing someone's attention because it's the same language they're going to be searching for. You also, 70-something% of our listings that we took on didn't have neighborhood descriptions. Well, we went in there and we put them in for all of our clients because when someone's searching through this native language, it's going to be pulling verbiage from neighborhood descriptions as well that may match what they're looking for. And I'll give you one more little tip for anybody listening that has short-term rentals, even to the point where this is not 100% proven yet, but I'm very confident this is where it's going based on my research. When you upload your pictures, instead of putting file 7 version 6, actually label the picture file what the picture is, because native language is using language. They don't know how to look at pictures and they're grabbing words. And the more you have jacuzzi, hot tub, jacuzzi, hot tub, jacuzzi, hot tub in all these different areas, it's going to pull those words and you have a higher chance of being seen first.
When you look at your optimization, I know it varies by client, but overall, I think I read 20+% average for the increase for your customer base in that first year. Is there a specific spot? You gave a lot of different examples there of how you optimize. Is there one that is, where you see when people first come to you where they have the biggest need and it's the small lever that moves the biggest door?
That's really hard because we would not just we do this one thing all the time and that's what works.
Sure.
We truly want to see, and even some clients that come to us for 5 properties, we might do something different on 2 of them and completely different on the other 3. Like, I'll give you some examples. I'll do my best to try to help out.
I guess the better way to ask that would be, what are people doing wrong that they should be doing? I guess that's the better way to ask that.
It is. I'll give you a couple of them. Number one, people are still using their cell phones for pictures. They still are. I don't know why. When you have this asset that's worth $500,000, $1 million, and you won't spend $500, $600, $800 on a nice group of pictures, we are still seeing that, believe it or not. And I think, there's other things inside of what people are doing. I think one of the other biggest revenue blockers that we see, people get so fixated on ADR, which is your average daily rate. So they'll say, my house is worth, $300 a night. I will not go below $300 a night. Okay, well, we're looking at your markets. We're looking at your trends. We're doing a pacing report. We're seeing that, the next 2 weeks, you're competing with people at $220 a night. You're not going to get that $300 a night, or you're just going to sit empty. Empty is $0 a night. So like people get so fixated on their average daily rate, and I get it. They don't want to drop it and give it away cheap. We understand that. That's not our goal either. However, we have to listen to the data, especially when we're really good at doing merchandising and getting people to stay longer. So what I mean by that is, someone may be looking for a 2-night stay, and we may get you that $300 a night for Friday, Saturday night. But we incentivize them to stay 5 nights, and then it might only average $270 a night, but we got them for 5 nights instead of just those 2. That is something, again, we're really good at, and then that's what people get hung up on. They'll come back to us and be like, well, you average $270 a night, and I'm like, yeah, but you would have only booked 2 nights. Now you have a 5-night booking. So it's things. Those are probably the 2 biggest issues that concerns that we see that come to us that are the hurdles right now. Yeah.
Obviously, you're in Charleston. Airbnbs, work really well. I mean, I'm sure they work well on other places as well, but obviously I'm an expert in this, so want to use this as an opportunity to ask that. You're in Charleston or you're in Tampa, places that, you and I both are right now. You'll hear people say, well, those are easy because you have people, their destination places. Do you have clients across the U.S.?
Yeah, I think we're in 45 markets, including Mexico right now. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you see, what's that to, I guess, go against that, combat that argument of, I've stayed in Airbnbs in very small places that are not necessarily destinations. So I know that it's a viable asset class to utilize in real estate investing. But there are some people that say I'm just not going to use that strategy because I can't make it work for me.
Yeah, I think what I say is, I think one of the biggest things is whatever strategy you're going with. Again, I think a lot of people, just like myself, I understand because I did it and I see people doing it, is you get the shiny object syndrome where you're trying to be in too many asset classes. You're trying to be too diverse that you're not really giving it the attention it needs. Just like a long-term rental, short-term rentals, you want to do triple net. It's if that's the goal you want to go with, there are many markets that you could do well in. Do you want more of an accommodation style short-term rental? Or do you want the experience style? Right now, we're seeing the luxury units, pretty much the $400 a night or over, the ones who really give a great experience. It's been a K-shaped economy. So like the ones that are doing a really good job giving that great experience, a higher end property, are doing extremely well, especially these 6+ bedroom properties. Whereas because the people who are making, I think it increased, don't quote me on this, I got to go back and look at the data, but something like the amount of people making $200,000 a night increased 20% from the people that are looking for short-term rentals, meaning those higher earners are staying in more and more short-term rentals in 2026, even from 2025, which means they're willing to book these more luxury type properties with these great experiences. So it's not necessarily market dependent. Actually, our market's kind of hard to get into. It's like we're very pocket specific. It's make sure that you're in a market that you can give the experience people are looking for, and that you create a great product. Like that's what we're seeing that's excelling right now, no matter what market you're in.
How do you? I got to follow up on that. How do you create a great experience with a property? If it's a luxury property, how do you create a great experience? What's
Yeah,
the best advice?
yeah. It's like what's your market looking for? So the first thing we'll do is we'll go. A good friend of mine owns STRIQ Strike. It's a software similar to AirDNA and Zillow. They kind of married each other, and basically you can go and you could find markets and you could find properties with a certain cash on cash return, etc. So using a software like that, finding the markets of what you're looking for that cash on cash return based on the price that you're willing to pay for a property, and then really looking at what that market wants. So you look at the top 5% of that market. What do they have? Do they have, like in Arizona and Phoenix, it's a very competitive market. Everybody has a pickleball court. You think that's like this luxury item? Everybody has these pickleball courts, these pools, So how do you go one step further? A friend of mine who has a bunch of Airbnbs, he runs short-term rental Mastermind as well. He put a 9-hole golf course on one of his properties. And it's pretty cool to be able to put something like that on, but he's crushing it on that property. And those are the things to do is first off, like look at what your market has, look at what you need to have in order to be in that top 5%. And then maybe let's be creative. What's something that would really stand out with golf simulators? And, I'll give you an example. Someone I was talking to has a property on the Great Lakes. And it's busy during the summertime, but in the wintertime, no one wants to stay there. I think the average occupancy in that market's 15%. He stayed at 70+% last year because he has an indoor pool and an indoor golf simulator in his property. So people will still go there because they can experience all these great things inside. Now that works there. In different markets, that may not work as well. So it's understanding, doing your research, understanding what the top properties are doing. And I'm happy to dive deep where my team is to look at that for you and say, hey, these are the must-haves. And then what can you do to kind of do it one step further to really be in that top, 5%? I do want to give this caveat. If you're looking to buy a short-term rental, go all in, and you're analyzing the data based on, you can look at like what the 50th percentile is making in your area, 75th, 90th plus. Don't run your pro forma the first year based on that 75th to 90th. You can run it based on year 2, but that first 6 to 12 months is getting reviews, getting momentum, getting velocity, and not pricing your property too high because you need to have that velocity going to help you out with the algorithm. I know that kind of like is a side note, but that is one of the biggest failures I see for people buying a property. They're trying to hit that 90th percentile year 1, and then they don't hit their numbers and they get hurt financially. So I know there's a lot of investors that listen to this. Run it on the 50th percentile for year 1, run it on the 75th to 90th for year 2 plus, so that you can get the momentum going first so that you don't, crash and burn in that first year.
So that's great advice. All of that you just gave there. What are you most excited for the rest of this year and beyond with your company?
Honestly, we have a great team, and it just continue to build upon that, expand upon that, and grow internally to continue to give better customer service. As we grow, to make sure that our level of service continues to improve, Yeah, and just keep the foundation strong. Because like I started off, we want to be great, not good. So as we scale, the last thing we want to do is have service start to slide. So it's just building systems, processes, using AI where it could make our team's life easier. But we have real life people making these decisions. We're not going to rely on the tech part gives us the data. The humans make the decisions based on their years of experience.
It seems to me that you were mentioning AI, that this would be an industry that will be truly affected because of the platforms in which people are renting on. It's not like you're going to a small mom and pop platform to book these. And so it seems to me that, as we move forward, technology will continue to change, and having trusted advisors like yourselves, to me, would make total sense, because I am focused on the experience. I am focused on making sure that I continue to add to this portfolio, and you continue to be in tune with what the changes are that are coming your way from a technology standpoint. I can't imagine wanting to stay up personally, as someone that owns single family properties. I can't imagine wanting to track all of that while I'm also trying to grow a portfolio and grow a business.
Yep. And that's why we like working with people that are investors minded and want to grow their business. So we could just take this one thing off their plate and save that time. And yeah.
Any stories before I tell people how they can find you? Is there any success stories that you're most proud of with a client where they were ready to be done with Airbnbs, and they came to you, and they're now not only happy, they're also profitable?
Yeah, I love this one. Actually, her name's Nicole. She's part of, in Charleston, we have a investor hub I'm one of the partners on called The Helm. And one breakfast meetup, I was talking to her. She's been a client of ours for a little over a year. I think last May or so she signed up. Last year, she has a property in Outer Banks, North Carolina, on the water there. Last year, she netted around $122,000. That's what she net. And that she lost money netting $122,000. So she was thinking about selling. And this year is about 2 months ago, so probably May this year, about 12 months later. May this year, she had on the books already at that time with still availability, she was netting $157,000 this year plus. And she literally told me, she goes, I was going to sell this property and now it's become profitable and now I could hold on to it. And she's a handful of clients to us, and she's an awesome person. I really, like her. She's just such an amazing person, but it just made me feel good that like, she turned from having to sell that property to now it cash flows and it helps put money in their pocket.
Anything that you can share there where you helped her, where it was just an easy fix, a quick fix to make her more profitable?
See, that's the thing. Sometimes
each one is different.
Yeah. No, sometimes that is a case where it's like a quick fix, but quite frankly, it's giving time for A/B testing, understanding markets, understanding properties is where they perform the best. So the biggest thing on that was like, yeah, last year we made some progress and we pushed her revenue up. But really, it took that between month 6 and 12 is we were able to make the most progress for her and really push that revenue to where she's at today after a lot of A/B testing, figure out where her property is going to perform in the market. That's the one thing that I think is so key that hopefully people take away is like, there's a lot of pricing companies coming out saying that we've solved the algorithm. We got the algorithm. Well, first off, the algorithm's always changing. That's not. And then second of all, who's inputting the data? Where are they getting it from? Like our team averages 10 plus years of experience in revenue management for our revenue management side of the business, not to mention real estate experience. Like who is actually utilizing the AI, the tech and all that stuff to make the informed decisions? I think that's the most important part. So sometimes it takes time, but I'll give you another one. There was one in this guy, Matt, actually the founder of STRIQ I was telling you about. We took over his properties last September. He gave us 4 or 5 properties in a college town, Texas. We changed his minimum length of stay from 4 nights to 2 nights, but did a lot of length of stay discounts. We increased his length of stay, I think, about a half a day, and he made an additional $22,000 just the end of last year working with us by that one trick that we did. And it sounds counterintuitive, but by shrinking the minimum length of stay, it added more visibility. And by using incentives versus restrictions, we were able to actually generate more revenue.
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's not a service that we've had in the community since I've been a part of CG. We've had some people that have had success with Airbnbs, but to have an advisor in the group is fantastic for me. And I know that there will be a lot of connections made. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, Dan?
Yeah, so for Synergy Stays, it's synergystayslocal.com. Again, synergystayslocal.com. And if you want to follow me personally, it's at Dan Rivers Life by Design on Instagram.
Man, I really am happy that you're a part of CG Legacy, really happy that you're part of the family. Thank you for taking the time. If you were listening to this and you are currently an owner of Airbnbs, or you are someone that is considering it, I encourage you to reach out to Dan and Synergy Stays. You want to give that Instagram one more time?
Yeah, my personal Instagram is Dan Rivers Life by Design.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you. I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you in Dallas here real soon. And don't be surprised if there's a few connections made after this conversation.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And if you want to be in that room rather than just making a connection, we can do that too, obviously. If you want to be in the room, the easiest way to do that is go to our website, explorecg.com. There you'll find all of our tiers, including our newest one, CG Legacy, which is for commercial operators, those doing multifamily, commercial, whether it's self-storage, mixed use, industrial. What a great room. I've had a privilege of talking to a lot of our members here as we've had our first meeting, and this was great to catch up with Dan here. Again, that's explorecg.com. There you'll find our application if you're interested in any of our tiers. Fill out that application. We'll talk to you on the other side. For my guest, Dan Rivers, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for listening to the Collective Genius Podcast.
New episodes every week. To learn more, visit explorecg.com, where real estate investors come to scale.